As we all know by now, the $15 minimum wage that was a part of the original COVID relief package, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package, has been stripped out by the Senate Parliamentarian, an unelected person who essentially gets to decide, if what's in a bill, if it's written correctly, if it's following the right procedures. Apparently a person with enormous power that is able to strip a wage increase for 32 million people from a single piece of legislation. Now, there is a catch to that. Kamala Harris, as Vice President of the United States, the tiebreaker of the Senate, and also with considerable control over the Senate, to be honest, she actually has the authority to put it back in. Now, after it was announced that the Senate Parliamentarian took this out of the legislation, White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain came out hours later and said, hey, VP Harris is absolutely not going to override this decision and put it back in the legislation. Now, hours after that, the White House, the Biden administration, then said, don't worry, folks, it's going to be a part of the legislation. As of right now, me sitting here talking, and again, this could have already changed, who knows? But as of right now, it's not in the bill. $15 minimum wage increase that is supported by over 60% of Americans is not in that piece of legislation. And the White House absolutely 100% has the authority to make it happen. And they're telling us at the same time that they're not going to do it and that they are going to do it. They are quite literally talking out of both sides of their mouths right now, saying, no, we won't, and yes, we will. You shouldn't think about it. Don't worry about it, though. This is idiotic. This is maddening. This is absolute, utter insanity taking place from the Biden administration, even though, by the way, Biden a week or so ago said he doesn't even support $15 minimum wage. Now, this week they're saying he does support it. I have never seen this level of flip-flopping in this short of amount of time. I mean, we are talking about in the span of just hours, this administration has contradicted themselves multiple different times. And the bottom line is this, they do have the authority to do it. And I know you have your establishment types on Twitter saying, well, it's not really her. It's mostly the mansions and the cinemas. They're not going to vote for this anyway. I don't care. Put it in the bill. Because at the end of the day, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, they understand that they have to get this $1.9 trillion COVID relief package passed. Their constituents would benefit tremendously from getting $15 an hour in minimum wage increases over, of course, the next 4 years to 2025. But yes, they would benefit. The residents of red states would benefit. People who don't work for minimum wage would benefit from this. A rising tide lifts all ships. And that is something that needs to be said repeatedly and emphatically, because when you put more money in the hands of people at the lowest end of the income spectrum, they spend it. Not because they're bad with money, but because they still have to. They're still living paycheck to paycheck, except that now they're not going to put off things like getting a new tire for their car, going in for an oil change, maybe treating themselves out to a nice meal at a restaurant every now and then that they have a little extra cash. Those are things, and those individually I always harp on because back when I was dirt poor, those were the things I put off. Those were the things I wished I could have done. And yes, something as simple as getting an oil change, you can't do it. And so by pushing that off, you end up with more expenses down the road that you definitely can't afford. Put more money in the hands of these individuals. The Biden administration has the authority to do it, but they would rather play these stupid linguistic games with us than just deliver for the public.